Hey, what's up everyone, Straight Shooting LJA here, and welcome to another edition of the Straight Shootin Rants. Now, you know what, yeah? My last episode of Straight Shootin Rants obviously was one very near and dear close to my heart. And so is this one. Because Blackout Tuesday on Instagram and also on Facebook, it's basically on social media, where everyone was posting up basically a black images in solidarity with the Black Lives Matter issue at this current moment. And obviously there's protesting in the United States, not just in Minneapolis, Minnesota, but other places as well. And I've mentioned about Killer Mike and his fantastic speech. Very calm, very rational, but very passionate at the same time. And I have to say the same thing can be said earlier today in Hyde Park with today, as I'm recording this, with John Boyega. And for me, it was one of them ones where Wednesday, 3rd of June could end up in history as an important date. Because there was a protest organised down in Hyde Park. Some of us, unfortunately, no matter whether it's impromptu, whether it's planned, some of us, unfortunately, can't make these kind of demonstrations and these kind of protests, which, yes, is a shame. But realistically, some of us do obviously have families to feed and can't afford to be taking time off work, especially if you're a key worker, because as you well know, a lot of us key workers don't actually get paid that well. I'm not going to tell you where I work, because really and truly, as I've said to a number of people before, I don't really want to put that company over. But rest assured, yes, I am a key worker, and I'm not like trying to fake it or anything, but why would I need to? But the fact of the matter is, John Boyega's speech, just like Killer Mike, but in a slightly different way, you could see the passion was every bit there as well. And I saw his post on Instagram, and he was fuming, saying obviously he's not the guy to mess with and stuff like that. I won't repeat it. Have a look on John Boyega's Instagram if you want to find it, and I urge you to do so. But today was one of them, he had a megaphone, so obviously you've got to shout, but they looked like there were a lot of people in Hyde Park. Social distancing, put that crap aside for the moment, because at the end of the day, those who will complain that, oh yeah, there might be a second wave because of what happened in Hyde Park, it's like, well, that door had already been kicked in anyway by the idiots protesting the lockdown 6 to 8 weeks into it. So yeah, I've already had my opinion on that one, where morons protesting lockdown 6, 7, 8 weeks into it. It's like, yeah, you got to do that beforehand, idiots. But this one was obviously different, because obviously it was to do with Black Lives Matter. And what I liked about Boyega's speech, not just the fact that he is a legitimate mainstream star actor, and he's basically out in front of the people, but not just talking to the people, but engaging with the people and standing shoulder to shoulder with the people. Now, a lot of entities will post something on social media, and it'll be a PR gimmick to try and get themselves over, to coin some wrestling vernacular. But with Boyega, as I said, he was standing shoulder to shoulder with the people, and you could tell what it meant to him. Like he literally at one point broke down in tears before the anger rose back up in him and inspired him, like a phoenix rising from the ashes. It was very interesting to see. I've seen about 2.5 minutes of his speech, and it was one of them ones you could feel the emotion coming through the screen. I watched it on my mobile phone, and I could feel the passion. And at the end of the day, it was one of them where at one point in it as well, he did say, we've got to keep this peaceful. And that for me shows not just a level of rationale, but a level of maturity as well. I mean, he's 28, and I'm 34. So it's one of them ones, it's not that much of a difference in age, but the maturity shown with that speech, and I urge you to go find it. I shared it on my Facebook page because the Evening Standard put a 2-minute clip up, and you can see it was longer. But the passion he spoke with and the maturity that he spoke with as well, because a lot of quote-unquote activists would be saying, oh, justice for this, justice for that, we need to torch stuff, we need to burn stuff down. No. And it's like, that's not the way to do things. As I've said on my video blog already, it's a case of that's not the way to go about things, because all that will do is that will give the parasitic media all the ammunition they need to basically say, oh, look, this is what they're doing. This is why we don't give them rights in the first place. This is why they'll never get justice, because they're irrational. So, and that is how dismissive the parasitic media are and can be. So, to me, it's one of them ones where him encouraging calm and trying to keep it as a peaceful protest is, as I said, it shows a great deal of maturity. And it is one of them ones. I have to say I respect that. And I respect the fact as well that he's using his platform. And he's not just using it, he's using it for good. Because a lot of cats have a platform and they won't use it for good. So there are obviously other people using their platform, but Boyega, as a British black man as well, for me, that's the key thing. As a British black man, that resonates with me a hell of a lot more. Especially when he started running down certain names. Justice for Sandra Bland, justice for George Floyd, justice for Mark Duggan, Stephen Lawrence, among others. So it's one of them ones where it's like, it's not just about one man. It's not just about America. It's about, as we've said before, it's about taking down a system. And for me, it's a case of, as good as Blackout Tuesday was in terms of support, this can't end here, because injustice is not ending here. From the looks of things, a lot of us are unified. And also, one interesting thing as well from Jazz Refreshed, they put on their Facebook page, and I shared it as well, a very interesting post about the music industry in particular, saying that, all right, it's one of them ones, we don't need, I think it was something along the lines of, we don't need a day to reflect. We don't need a moment to reflect, because we basically have to live this, as black people, we have to live this reality every day. Essentially is that. And it's one of them ones where it's like, I totally understand that point. As said, as a young black male, as you can see, I fully understand that point. And as I said in my last video blog, I've had my issues with the police and certain powers that be as well. I mean, I've even had in a job interview where I turned up and the person who interviewed me seemed taken aback. I did not get a good vibe, because he seemed taken aback that a black guy, it's like, oh, didn't expect you to be black. Oh, okay, don't know how to handle this. And I could kind of feel that. Because sometimes it doesn't have to be said to be felt. And this is one of the things that John Boyega was talking about, and entities like Jazz Refreshed, who went on to say in their statement about, basically, it's all good, some of the music production companies putting up a status and all that, but basically it's lip service. Because there is such a disparity in terms of, I think they were talking about black people especially, but the BAME community, there's such a disparity in terms of who holds top jobs and also who gets jobs in general. And again, this is the system that we're fighting against with these protests. This is what's important. it's not just, as I said before, it's not just about one person. It's not just about one individual. The George Floyd incident, the George Floyd murder, let's call a spade, is basically the blue touch paper that has ignited something that has been simmering under for a number of years. So it's one of them ones where, and I've just seen something very interesting that I'm going to bring to your attention in a second. But it's one of them where you got to look at it. I said this is systemic, this is institutional, and over the coming months and years, which is what it will take to take down the system or at least change it slightly, it's going to take that long. I just want to bring this to your attention. Don't know if you saw that, but basically there's a hashtag called Let's Not Forget, and this is the first time I'm seeing this, by the way, so this is new to me as well. I thought I'd share it with you guys. But the fact of the matter is, I said, let's not forget what has happened in the past, but always remember, those who don't learn from the mistakes of the past are doomed to repeat them. It's like, I think the saying exactly is, those who don't learn from history's mistakes are condemned to repeat them. And that's very much what we have to do here. We can't let this disappear within a matter of days, weeks, months, or even years. Not until the system changes, and even then we still have to be vigilant. The price of freedom is eternal vigilance, and the price of justice and equality is also eternal vigilance. We all have a part to play, and we all have to be unified in playing our part, playing our position, no matter how small. And those going to protests are giving those of us who can't attend protests for whatever reasons, be it the COVID-19 pandemic or whatever, it's one of them was, you're giving us a voice. So please use it wisely. If you're going to protest, don't do the violent thing. Please don't. I thought I'd show you that again. But basically, those going to protest, you are giving us who can't be there a voice, and that is critical. It is critical that our voice is not only heard, but heard loud, heard proud, but also we need that voice to be educated. We need it to be articulate, because if you're given a platform, you can't afford to waste it. And I said, this could very much be a watershed moment. I'm hoping it is. And as I've said before, I hope this doesn't get swept under the rug, but it's one of them ones where if you control the media, you control the narrative. And if you control the narrative, you control perception. And if you control perception, then, well, you control almost everything, because then if you manipulate perception for long enough, you can make people think whatever the hell you want. And it's one of them, look at how much black history has been buried, destroyed. So it's one of them where we do need this to keep going on. We do need your celebrities, your actors, your film stars, your football players, everybody to speak up. Your key workers, your supermarket workers, NHS workers, keep speaking up. Because my partner said to me that the revolution won't be televised, it will be streamed. And she was spot on with that. It will be streamed, because you can't hide it anymore, no matter how much you try. We just got to keep shining a light on it, and shining a light on the evils in this world. Because justice, look at the Hillsborough campaign. Justice can take decades to come. And also, you look at the Justice for Grenfell campaign. That's now been almost 3 years. Today is June 3rd, June 14th, 2020 will mark 3 years since the Grenfell Tower tragedy happened, and there's still nowhere near justice yet. It's a fight that is ongoing for the families that lost loved ones, for those in the surrounding area that were affected as well. And I spent 16 years living around the corner in Treadgold House. I love that area to bits, and it hurt immeasurably to see that building go up in flames. There has to be justice for Grenfell. There has to be justice for the 96 who died in the Hillsborough disaster. And I don't just say that as a Liverpool supporter. So it's one of them where I said these battles for justice take a long time. But in the end, justice will be worth it, and justice will always prevail. So it's a case of some people try and detract from the Black Lives Matter hashtag and the movement by saying, oh, well, all lives matter. Yes, all lives do matter, but at the end of the day, by making Black Lives Matter, it means we can stand up and make a change and make all lives matter. But sadly, we live in a world where you have to do it sadly, you have to do it one at a time. You literally have to do it one at a time. As I've said before, short attention span theatre, where it's like some people can't focus on more than one thing at once. So as much as it's Black Lives Matter now, we've got to keep this going. Yeah, this can be used as a blueprint to make all lives matter, as all lives should. But it's one struggle at a time. If you're going to take down the system, you can't take down every part of a system at the same time. It's too big. A system is too big. It's too ingrained to do that. Like I said earlier, you control the media. You control the media. You control the narrative. You control the narrative. You can control perception. Those are different things. Controlling the narrative is only part of manipulating perception. Then you have to sell it to people. General election 2019, that happened. Brexit, that happened. That was a massive machine behind getting those things done and getting people to vote a certain way in both. So it's not a small thing, but we're fighting, and this is what I love to see. And the fact of the matter is, we're going to prevail. But to prevail, we have to be united. And all of us have to be involved. All of us. Because, as Martin Luther King said, an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Remember that. I am Straight Shootin LJA. I'd love to hear your comments in the comment section and read your comments, in the comment section below. But you know what? It's got my blood rate up. I love it. But you know what? It is one of them ones where we can't let these injustices keep continuing. We have to be one. And I believe we are one, and we will be one. And I hope that this is not swept away and forgotten within a couple of months. We've got such an opportunity here to make this a historical watershed moment. I'm a father. I want my children to look back on this time and be like, my God, that's where the change happened. That generation made that change for us. That generation made a change for future generations. That generation made a change. They came together. They made a change. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages came together and made a change. I want my children to be able to say that. Not just as black children, not just as my children, but as children of the world. As said, I have been Straight Shootin LJA, and you know what? I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for your time. Comment section is below. Thanks, babes.